Hello Sprouts, I'm Crimson Clover and welcome back to Clover Reads. Today on the channel we have for you 3 short Reddit stories. I'm going to read them and give you my opinion, and I hope you do the same in the comments down below. But if you don't, that's fine too. We're all busy beans. Story 1 is by user 5crew77A. Am I the a-hole for loading kids up on sugar at my 6-year-old son's birthday party with the other parents just dropped them off? This past weekend, we hosted a birthday party for my son, Mel 6. Standard setup, park location, party games, balloons, snacks, cake. We had some cookies, lollies, drinks available, water, juice, and yes, Coke. Pretty normal stuff for a kid's birthday party. Nothing extreme. Here's the thing, most parents just dropped their kids off and left. Some didn't even say hi or check in, just handed the kid over and took off. Again, I don't mind hosting, but if you're not going to stay, I'd assume you trust what's going on offer. Now, a couple of those same parents are apparently complaining that we loaded their kids with sugar and gave them Coke. One mom said her kids were bouncing off the walls and that we were irresponsible. But here's what gets me. Every kid who was offered Coke said they were allowed to have it. Not one mentioned any restrictions, allergies, or preferences. Meanwhile, my own son doesn't like fizzy drinks or juice. He only drinks water or milk, so it's not like I was pushing anything on him or anyone else. The food and drink were just there, help yourself style. If someone had mentioned their kid wasn't allowed soft drinks, I absolutely would have respected that. But I can't read minds, and if you don't stay at the party or say anything about dietary restrictions, can you really be upset afterward? So, am I the asshole for not micromanaging what the other kids ate and drank at a party where their own parents weren't even present? Okay, 1, OP. Bold of you to assume that the children would tell you the truth about whether or not they were allowed the soda. Other than that, not really. You're not the asshole, I think. When you're organizing a party, I'm assuming if it's at a park and there's a lot of kids, I'm going to assume it was to the kid's class, like his kindergarten class or something, or preschool. I don't remember how old kids go into the different age groups. Anyway, you're inviting the kids' class. You send out, maybe you send physical invites, maybe you just go to the class and say, hey teacher, can I talk to the students real quick about a party? Maybe your kid is just, oh, I'm having a birthday party at such and such, show up. If you are taking the invitation route, you would have the location. You would have contact information. And in this day and age, everybody knows if you have allergies, tell the host what your food allergies are. If you have a personal restriction on what the kid eats, like you're vegan and vegetarian, or you just don't want a lot of sugar in your tiny little tot, then you tell the host that. And it's the parents' responsibility then to contact the host and say, hey, little Jimmy, little Timmy can't have more than a cup of soda. They can't have more than a cupcake. Or if they eat a peanut butter cupcake, they're gonna die. You know, you can't just expect the host to magically know this. Because if the party's on a weekend and it's on the afternoon, you're gonna expect the kids are gonna get into the sugar because there's going to be cake. Is it? For some parents specifically, like, you give my kid soda and that's the bad thing. Not like, oh, the kid had a ton of birthday cake. You're gonna get the same amount of sugar either way. Or were they just expecting their kid not to have the birthday cake? And all those parents just dropping the kids off and leaving. They're like, oh yeah, it's a kid's birthday party for the whole afternoon. I have a couple of hours free time that I don't have to parent my kid. It would have done some of them good, I think, to just go, hey, would it be okay if I stayed and helped chaperone? Because I don't trust my kid not to get into too much of the sugary stuff. No? You didn't volunteer? Then don't complain to the OP when your kid gets into the stuff you don't want them in. Was that coherent? I feel like my opinion was sort of coherent, but maybe not entirely. Moving on to story 2 by user Daikon Competitive 147. Am I the asshole for silently changing my son's name after my brother and sister-in-law gave my nephew the name too? Oh, name stealers! My wife and I had our son 4 months ago. We had a name chosen early in her pregnancy. We kept that name to ourselves, but my sister-in-law, married to my brother, found it out when she was still pregnant with my nephew, who was almost 7 months old. She never said how. She just told us she loved the name, congrats, and she couldn't wait to meet him. We assumed she snooped because she was not told. I even mentioned it to my brother, and he said that his wife does like to browse through people's things like it's no biggie. Brother, why? If your wife does this, warn people ahead of time that your wife does this. It is not good to go snooping through people's things like that. It is such a biggie. Then, when my nephew was born, they announced his name, and it was the name we chose. First, middle, and last name. My brother called right after sister-in-law posted the announcement, and he told me to keep quiet because his wife had a tough birth, and she didn't need drama, and he knew we might not like it, but she really wanted the name. Oh yeah. And her wishes superseded, because she just not come up with her own name. Her reason? My brother and I have matching twin-like names, and sister-in-law wanted to connect our two boys by just giving them the same name, so they were each other's namesake. That's not how namesakes work. My wife and I talked it over, and we decided to pick a different name, but we'd pretend to keep the original name until there was zero risk of sister-in-law changing my nephew's name. 6 months after a birth is harder to make the change in our state. We only started telling people the true name last week. My parents and sister said it made sense. Friends and my in-laws understood why we did it. My brother told me I upset his wife by silently doing this shit and taking away her choice to match the boys. He told me it was a dick move. I told him his wife using the full name we chose was a dick move. I asked him if he considered how much tougher it would be with both boys enrolled in the same school with the very same name. Not to mention banking, doctors, dental, all kinds of stuff. He told me plenty of people have the same name and it's not a big deal, and it's harder to mix shit up now, and we're just trying to gatekeep names. I think he's cray, so does my wife. She said he clearly doesn't want sister-in-law to be mad, but am I the a-hole for what I did? Like, are we weird for thinking about this kind of stuff? No, OP, you are not weird. And we have had or heard plenty of stories where people are like, oh, I can't think of a name, give me inspiration by telling me your name, and then they go and yoink the name for themselves. Selfishly, very selfishly. Now this one, because you want the two children to be linked with twin-like names? That's weird. Sister-in-law being weird. You can have twin-like names without it being the exact same name. And does sister-in-law just think it's a family tradition for siblings to have same-ish names? Because I guess some parents do like that. But she just stole the whole name. Like, she could have given him the same first name. Or she could have given him the same middle name. There's a connection without it having to be identical. Yeah, I do not think OP is the asshole in this at all. Although personally, I wouldn't have told anybody the name at all until after baby was born. Like, I know they chose long enough to make it difficult for sister-in-law to change the name again, but when this has already happened, I would have waited until baby was born to give the new name. Like, hopefully OP had a list of names that they liked, and they just chose the one they liked the most, and that's what the sister-in-law took. And so that they could still have names they liked without it being the best. But no, dick move on the brother's part, dick move on sister-in-law's part. OP is fine, and he's not wrong about the difficulties in a school, especially if they live close together. Like, if they're going to the same school, the kids can't have issues. If they're in the same district, if they're on the... Do they live in the same neighborhood? I have personally gotten calls for people who had basically my same name. And like, the difference was they went to school to be this, and I didn't. I'm like, sorry, you've got the wrong number. Is this your first name? Yes. Is this your middle name? Yeah. Is this your last name? Yes. Then it's you. No, it's not. I do not live in the town of the person you're calling about. I have never met the person you're calling for, to yell at me for. And I do not have this education. I'm like, oh. No apologies on that person either. I just got yelled at. Anyway, it can cause issues. And that just makes... Ooh. My evil side says, did they do it to make identity theft easy? Because then they can like take out credit in the baby's name and go, oh no, that's not our baby, that's their baby. They owe the debt. Seriously hoping that's not it. But we've seen plenty of things where people are doing bad things and then going, it'll be off your credit by the time they're 18. Like, no. Again, OP, definitely not the asshole. Good job staying to your guns and keeping your second name quiet to yourself. I still would have kept it until the baby was born. Alright, moving on to the third story by Reddit user Few, ad 8859. I didn't let my husband eat my sandwich. How terrible! My husband and I were chilling on the couch and I mentioned I was hungry. I placed an order from one of our favorite sandwich shops. I asked him 3 times while ordering if he would like one as well, and he said no. 3 times. He had just had breakfast and wasn't hungry. The sandwich arrived and I cut off a small bit of it to eat then and saved the rest for later. I didn't have a large appetite. I'm kind of a grazer. I take one bite and he says, oh, I want a bite of that. I said, why didn't you order yourself one? I wasn't hungry until I smelled yours. I ended up letting him have 3 bites of mine and told him to order his own. I don't like sharing food unless it's planned. He knows this. We've been together for 10 years. I literally have to hide snacks from him because he will find them and eat them because I don't eat all of it at once. He orders his sandwich. It's 30-minute delivery. He wants another bite of mine. I said no. Now I'm a crazy, selfish hypocrite who won't share food. He has now brought up every meal we've had for the past 2 weeks as an example of his food generosity. Mind you, every meal was planned to be shared. Now we aren't speaking. Am I the asshole here? No? Not really? Okay. I want to know, did he order the exact same sandwich that you did, or was it a different sandwich? That does play, you know, if it was the same sandwich, I would go like, okay, you can have a couple more bites of mine, but then I will be taking an equivalent amount out of yours. That's fair. As for people going, I wasn't hungry until I smelled your food, my best friend does this sometimes. And their mother does it as well. Like, oh, I wasn't hungry until I smelled your food cooking. Very valid. It happens. Like, do you have those times when you're not hungry, but you smell something and it smells so delicious and you want to eat it anyway? Could be that sort of situation. But if he does this frequently, just order an extra sandwich. Like, if your partner's going to maybe be hungry later, just get him an extra sandwich. He can have it later. But planned food generosity, is that the way you called it? But it was phrased kind of odd. Like 2 weeks of sharing meals, but you planned it that way. Isn't that just normal dinner? Isn't that just how normal dinners work? You make food, you make enough for 2, and then you don't call that extra sharing? Am I weird for that? But being called a crazy, selfish hypocrite who won't share food is kinda... It's kind of an overreaction on the husband's part. And Opie said they have to hide snacks from him because he will find them and eat them just because she doesn't eat all of the snacks at once. Does he have... Okay, she doesn't like to share. He will just eat anything left over. Fine. If we just go specifically from this example, I did not share my sandwich. Am I the asshole? No. Because it did sound like he just wanted her sandwich while his was coming. As long as she was, eating her sandwich, it's okay. She doesn't have to share the rest. A half hour is not... It can feel like a long time if you're really hungry. But it's honestly not that long to wait. So he could have just waited the half hour, eaten a sandwich. But also, if she wasn't going to eat the rest of the sandwich immediately, and he had ordered the exact same sandwich, then I would have just given him the other half and then taken half of his. B, having to hide stuff because he will get into it and eat it all, that's a separate issue entirely. That requires more negotiation and maybe some couples counseling. But overall, just on the basis of this one incident, no, OP, you're not the asshole. You didn't handle it in the manner I would have, but that is fine. We are all different people. We handle things differently. And I do not want to go into thoughts about this behavior being from like childhood stuff, because it could be on both ends. And we're not touching that because you didn't mention it. I feel like, yeah. Because that is a thing, right? When you go through a period of deprivation for your food, you can get guarded over it, protective, because you're like, I need this, I'm going to eat it, and if you eat it, it won't be there for me to eat later. And sometimes that's just, this is a favorite food, I don't get my favorite food very frequently, but sometimes it's just like that instinctual, even though I know I can buy more, the thought that this one will not be there when I'm hungry again, and I should have leftovers, it can just be a bad thing in your brain. Totally not speaking about experience from that one, no. Anyway, thank you for listening, and this is where I'm going to call things for today. Let me know what you think about our different OPs in the comments down below. I don't think anybody this time was an asshole. And I'll catch you next time. Bye bye!